Kicking it off with another new book. We're gonna do some modern views of 3-yard quilts. And with this one, I am looking to do this chain reaction quilt. So I kept looking at it and looking at my fabrics and trying to figure out what do I have. Like this one would have been great if I had 3 very neutral, like blender kind of ones. And so I'm kind of switching up a little bit and it could be very interesting. I know I've had some people comment about seeing how I use the character prints and the novelty and juvenile bigger prints in these. So I'm gonna kind of switch it up a little bit. So as you can see, we've got like all this white background space and these are the focals here with this, the purple and the green on here. So I'm gonna switch it up. The white is actually gonna be my focal print and these are gonna be the coordinates to go with it. So for my focal print, which is actually fabric number 2 in this block, is dinosaurs. As you can see, I cut something out of it at some point, but there's still definitely more than a yard on here. So I'll be able to get what I need for the quilt, plus probably even a pillowcase out of this. At my guild meeting in July, we had like a recap of a fabric sale that we did as a guild. And so the person that was in charge of it brought some different bundles in, a fabric that didn't get sold and anything like that. And her stipulation was that whoever needed it, they needed to be into charity quilts. So it's like anxiously, like almost at the auction, like raising your paddle, like I'll take it, I'll take it, I'll take it. So this one was a good little score from, I got a big bundle of them. And so this, it's like a cream color, but the triangles are actually kind of a brownish gold color. So that's gonna be what is on here. The green, I think those will look nicely, and then it'll be that nice little inner border. And then I wanted a Kona to go with it. And I'm pretty sure this is the same one from that Buzz Lightyear quilt that I didn't know what color was. And I think I failed to write it down again, but I'm pretty sure it's Kona Sprout. Because when these 3 are all together, this kind of pulls into these like bright colors here. I could have gone darker, but this was just such a good green and I think it's gonna look really fun against the white and the dinosaurs. So I'm gonna see how this turns out with these chain reaction view and start cutting and see what comes together. So that was so much cutting. I don't know what's what anymore. I know these are my borders. These are my dinosaur blocks. This is a whole lot of something. Unit A, Unit B. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out when it pieces together to see how this turns into that chain reaction quilt. So let's go on this adventure together. had a lot of little pieces to it, I decided to start with the more straightforward block pieces. So this is block C and this is block D. So I still have A and B to do. So just so you can see a little bit closer, since this is kind of a directional print, I did what I do on my borders, and I made sure my triangles were facing out from the center dinosaurs. So then they'll be out when they're here, they'll be up and down when they're in that block, and I think that will help it kind of stay a little more organized chaos. So now I'm going to go ahead and piece the A and B blocks and see how those turn out. So for these blocks here, what I have to do before I put the corners on is I have to cut off the corner. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these all lined up. I mean, this is just a small amount of them. In the book, it has a little template that you're supposed to use, but one, I didn't want to trace a template, and two, I didn't want to cut my book apart. So what I did is I got my trusty blue painter's tape and laid one of my clear rulers on top of it, on top of the template, that is. And so this is the corner shape that I need to cut out. So I'm going to lay that right on there. And then grab my whatever closest rotary cutter I can find. And then just cut off that corner. And then go to my next corner. And then I'm going to cut my next corner. I figured this would be easier than doing a time lapse and you guys being like, what are you doing? So that's what's happening here. And then I've got one more corner because it's not like a true, I was thinking, I was like, oh, I can just line up my little piece and then sew the 1/4 inch from there, but it didn't quite work out like that. So now that I've got those cut, are going to line up like this. So then I have that 1/4 inch on each side, where if I had lined it up to the point and sewn, I would have lost an extra, like, let's see, that's like almost 1/2 inch than it should have been. And then I would have been crying because there's no going back because that would have been all cut up. So I'm going to start sewing on these corners. So here we have our super cute, super fun chain reaction quilt. And I think it's really cool how these kind of give that kind of twisting and interlocking effect from far away. And then when you go up close, you can see the fabric in different ways. And I think it's a fun little pattern that actually comes together a whole lot easier than it looks like it should. The trickiest part was absolutely these corners. And since I used a template made from painter's tape and an acrylic ruler, I'm sure there are other ways to make that a little more efficient to trim off those corners, or accurate really. And so otherwise, I think it all came together pretty well. I really like the green in there as an offset to the white and the dark. So I'm quite pleased. Plus this triple border really matches in with it, having all of this twisting in through there and then this just framing it up. And then the binding is going to be this green color as well. So I think that's going to come together quite nicely. And I'm excited to get this quilted. I'm having some ideas of how to quilt it and everything like that. So come back for the next video so we can see how it's going to go down.